What's up, y'all? So I had time to sit down and think about this Ravens Bills divisional game a lot more. Emotions are down. I can kind of go into more of the reason why I think they lost and more of my thoughts about it, and also what should the Ravens do looking into the future, right, for the next season. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's start with I already did a video on it, so I'm not going to really dive more into like Mark Andrews fumbles, Lamar Jackson turnovers. Like I'll speak on it because this is part of the game and ties into my other thoughts. But if I don't really dive into that, that's because I already talked about it in the video right after the game was over, and I still think it still holds exactly how I said it. But two things I don't think I didn't touch on that video that I think are really important. Let's start with the defensive side of the ball. I don't think the defense in the postseason has gotten a turnover for the team since 2018 or so. Whenever they faced the Titans in Tennessee, I think that's the last time they got a turnover for that team. And I could be wrong, if I am, persecute me, but I think I'm correct on that. And that's the case. Either way, this postseason they did not get a turnover, and that's a huge problem. They made Josh Allen very comfortable. I mean, and Josh Allen, for the most part, had a pretty mediocre game, but that's because it was a really healthy balance of James Cook getting chunk yardage, setting up good, favorable pass plays for third down conversions, or good first or second down plays, stuff like that. I don't think there was a recorded sack for the Ravens. I don't really think Josh Allen got pressured much or even had a hurry. And definitely no turnovers. So while the Buffalo Bills had three, and I know part of that is, again, like I said, I was going to tie it in. A part of it is because Lamar had two turnovers. I understand, and it's hard to beat that. And they did turn, I think, his interception into no points, I think. So there's that. But still, even the third quarter, the third quarter, they were stellar. Fourth quarter, they did just enough to get their offense a chance, the team a chance, right? So it's not like they were trash or anything. I'm not trying to say anything like that. But in terms of just doing something to change momentum. Do like okay, offense is struggling right now. Defense, we need a play. No plays were really made. Now, arguably, the bogus defensive pass interference call against White was stupid, and that should have led to a fourth down, and that would have been the real good momentum killer, and it led to yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like so that was unfortunate, but that's going to happen sometimes. So you really need a defense that can pressure the quarterback. You really like. I know I think it was Calvin Noy talking about, oh yeah, it's really hard to overcome three turnovers stuff like that. Yes, I understand that, but at the same time, you also could be special and just make a play as a unit, not just him, but like as a unit, you could also just make a play. Because at the end of the day, and we'll talk about this in the next phase, but at the end of the day, you depend on someone else to make all the plays. And yes, that's why he's a leader. That's why he's MVP and all this stuff. But you're also a Pro Bowler. There's like four of you on that defense. Like y'all need to make a play, and you didn't really do anything. And that's the issue. That's one of the biggest issues. There was Josh Allen and James Cook could do whatever the hell they wanted to your defense. I mean, they walked y'all down the first the first drive they were out there. So that's an issue where both of those defenses got walked down and then immediately flipped the switch and started doing stuff, started pressuring, started getting to the backfield, started getting turnovers, whatever. You didn't do that as a defensive unit, talking about the Ravens. And thus, you needed miracle play. Not even miracle play. Well, yeah, miracle drive, really, which Lamar made look routine as hell to win the game. And again, we'll touch on that in a second. So that's what I think about the defense. Not good enough. Not good enough at all. Another phase of the football that I think the average fan doesn't really appreciate as much, but is a huge factor, especially as John Harbaugh as your coach, is special teams. I don't think the special teams phase of the football is really good. I think it's actually very lackluster. I think it's one of the leading reasons as to why the Ravens lose so many games they're supposed to win, or they have a great chance going in winning. Starting with the majority of the season with Justin Tucker missing a shit ton of field goals, really screwed them over. Not even just field goals, but extra points too, which sometimes led to them, like the Steelers game the first time, need to get a 2-point conversion to win. Then you have situations where they don't have good punt field position. Like they'll fair catch a ball and let it roll to like the 10 to the 1 yard line, or a situation where they fumble or muff a punt, and like even though they don't necessarily turn the ball over, the ball dies where they had a good chance to get more yardage. So the special teams play is really not that good and can be a lot better. And I think that that's the face of the football they need to completely do an overhaul in, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. But like, that's something they really need to do because, for example, Lamar Jackson's last drive, not good field position. He had to go 90 yards. He had to go 90 yards for them to get a chance at the 2-point conversion that they end up missing, right? So that's really, really bad. And again, in the first video, I already talked about enough about Mark Andrews, the fumbles, Lamar's fumbles, interceptions, like I talked about it. So that's why I'm not focusing on that here. I'm not pretending like it didn't happen. I'm not pretending like they weren't at fault and all that stuff, but like I already talked about that. So special teams, I really like Tylan Wallace first of all as a receiver, but also I like him in special teams. I think he needs to be utilized way more in special teams. I think there needs to be a complete overhaul in the philosophy that they teach their special teams. I think it's like, yo, we need to attack. Like, you have John Harbaugh as your coach. Like, special teams should be something that is they can use as an advantage going into every game, not being a handicap to them. You know, like there's no reason why some of the biggest plays the Ravens had this season are so far behind, or they had to march so far in the field. The special teams is just not good, whether it's kickoffs or punts. It's just not the best, and especially in the postseason, not good. Specifically this postseason. So that's something they need to figure out. They need to really strip it down and rebuild it and make it an asset, not a liability. So now, what do the Ravens need to do in the offseason? There's a lot of players that are free agents. They need to decide who. I think there's 2 offensive linemen that are free agents. I know Washington, I think, is a free agent as well. They definitely need to bring him back. He's a demon. They need to figure out who they want to bring back, who they're going to let go, and they need to go make some acquisitions. I know a lot of people are saying Jair Alexander. I don't know. I really don't, especially the way the Ravens handle certain type of players. I don't know if Alexander's going to be the type of player that will be able to be on that team and see the whole season. I just don't know. But I know I think he's ex-teammate with Lamar in college. I think they both went to Louisville. So if that's true, then that could be something there. He's a dog. He wants to win. I think adding another defensive back to get rid of 21 is a huge, anything you can do to get rid of 21. I think he's a free agent too. He's not coming back. I promise you that much. So that's something good. Shore up the offensive line. Go into the draft. See if an offensive lineman not even offensive lineman. Definitely an offensive lineman replace one of the 2 you probably going to let go. But they definitely need to look at getting some defensive line help. They need to start generating pressure. I think the Ravens are just like the Giants in terms of when their defensive line can generate a lot of pressure consistently, it makes their whole team way better than any other team they're facing. And I really do think that the Ravens have a big problem with pressuring the quarterback, which makes the receiver or makes their corners have to cover for a really long time and make these special, spectacular plays or just hope the quarterback messes up instead of pressuring him and making him make mistakes. Like the thing about Josh Allen, first of all, the Bills linemen, and I want to make sure I say this, the Bills linemen are not scrubs. They're very freaking talented. They're studs. But the reason why Josh Allen had a really good season, just like Lamar in some cases, but especially for Josh Allen in particular, his offensive line allowed him to be comfortable and make his reads and make smart choices. And I have to commend Josh for that. And that something the Ravens didn't do is make him more comfortable. You have to press the quarterback. You have to make him more comfortable so he can make some of these hurry throws like the Bills did with Lamar on that interception. Like there's to mess up timing routes. Like there's so many things. That's what pressure needs to do. I don't think they did that. So Ravens need to go get some defensive line help, whether it's in the draft or whether it's in free agency or whether it's trading or someone. They need to do something in that regards. I'm really confident in this team. I think Lamar's going to take another step. I think another year in this Todd Monken offense. That's another thing. Todd Monken, you're not exempt. Come over here, man. Come over here, bro. Lamar threw and I said this in another video, but I want to say this again. Lamar threw a dot to Rashad Bateman to like the 2 or 1 yard line. Why would you throw? Derrick Henry needs to be at the 2 to 1 yard line. I'm running 4 Derrick Henry runs up the middle and living with the consequences. Because worst case scenario, bro, you get to like the 1 inch yard line, you get Mark Andrews in there, do a tush push, your score. Where something about Ravens play callers, they just wet the bed every single time. It's an obvious running situation. The Bills, yes, they had good penetration and stopped the run early, but Derrick Henry was going. And in yard situations like that, you got Derrick Henry for a reason. I hate the Ravens acquiring these great historic Hall of Fame players and underutilizing them. Because there is no like you lost. There is no game. There is no more game for you till September. Like you lost. So reserving I hate reserving players' legs and stuff. When if you don't win this game, it's over for you. Like, come on, man. You're at that point. I think no, you had Bateman at that point, but that you down Zay Flowers, man. Like, just the play calling was questionable sometimes, very questionable. There's a big chunk of that play where Derrick Henry was not in the game. And granted, I know in the last like 2 drives, it was like, okay, these are obvious pass situations, and Derrick Henry is not the greatest pass catching back. Hill's amazing. Justice Hill is really underrated, and I hope they keep him along for the long haul. He's really underrated. And Pat Ricard, too. Like, there's a lot of underrated pass catchers that is not Derrick Henry. And that's fine. Derrick Henry does one thing very elitely well, and he just needs to do that. And when they have situations to let him do that, they need to let him do that. And Justice Hill, man, so I can understand why he's in the game. Pass catching, I need you to block. You can go out for a catch. I know you can catch the ball. I don't even have to worry about that. So those are my thoughts on that. I just think I didn't really see anyone talk about special teams. I really didn't see, because the Bills' special teams got some yardage for them. They made some drives easier, and some teams in the postseason, you see like the big spark comes from not only just a defensive turnover or not just an offensive dominant drive, but sometimes it comes from that special teams play, or just routinely positive special team plays that put your offense in a much better field position than starting from the 20 to the 1 yard line. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what the Ravens need, who they should re-sign. Comment, like, subscribe, share. See you on the next one. Peace.